I was having coffee with a friend the other day, someone I genuinely admire. She's sharp, creative, and really puts her work out there. She was scrolling through her phone, and I just watched her face change.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't dramatic. It was just like a curtain dropping.
Mm-hmm.
She sighed and slid the phone across the table. It was a comment on her latest post.
Oh, the dreaded comment section.
Exactly. It started with, "I absolutely love what you do, but..." And what followed was this perfectly crafted, almost polite little jab. Something about her energy being a bit much for a Monday.
Wow. Okay. Wrapped in fake concern.
Totally. You could feel the acid underneath. My friend just looked at me, her coffee completely untouched, and said, "It's 7 a.m., and I already have to choose between being angry and being civilized."
That hits hard.
Yeah, that one little comment, disguised as advice, had basically hijacked her entire morning. Okay, let's dig into this. The scenario you just heard, that sharp, perfectly packaged critique that lands before breakfast, well, something almost everyone experiences in this digital age, right?
Absolutely. It's an immediate, precise attack on your emotional independence. And the immediacy, that's key. These things can land when we're really vulnerable.
Exactly. So what are we really dealing with here?
Well, I think it's a mix. It's part psychological pressure, maybe even warfare sometimes, but it's also deeply physiological. There's a vulnerability there.
Okay.
So our deep dive mission today is specifically tailored to really dissect that passive-aggressive jab. Understand why it feels so awful, especially first thing.
Before the caffeine kicks in.
Precisely. And then provide you with solid strategies for responding with what we're calling strategic elegance. Particularly thinking about, communication pros who need to handle this online feedback without losing their cool or damaging their brand.
Strategic elegance. I like that. It implies control, not just reaction.
That's the goal. We need a defense system.
So to build that, we've got to go beyond just the words on the screen, right? We need to look into the neuroscience behind this morning stress.
Yes, the biology of it.
Yeah.
And then define the kinds of aggressive communication we're up against so we can spot them.
Spot them, counter them, and finally establish a clear protocol, a way to respond assertively, professionally. Or maybe sometimes the most assertive thing is not responding at all.
That's definitely on the table.
Yeah.
Assertive non-response. It's powerful. Okay, so first things first. It's really vital to get that this isn't just, bad manners or a little annoyance. There's a biological reason that 7 a.m. critique can feel like a catastrophe.
Right, it's not just in your head.
Not at all. The modern professional, especially online, is dealing with a totally different kind of stress landscape than, say, 20 years ago.
Yeah, our sources really highlight that the morning is kind of a thin-skinned period for most people. That very first digital interaction, whatever it is, it tends to set the tone. It can imprint everything. So that initial criticism, especially passive-aggressive stuff that catches you off guard, it really does inflict a framing on your whole day.
Yeah, allowing that sort of drive-by pseudo-opinion in before your brain's even fully booted up. It's like giving the keys to your day to the first passerby.
Handing them right over.
And we can actually anchor this feeling in some, concrete neuroscience. We're talking about these core neuroendocrine pathways that manage how your body handles stress.
Okay, here we go. Deep breath.
The main system here is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA axis. It works alongside key parts of your brain's limbic system, like the amygdala and the hippocampus.
Okay, HPA axis sounds super technical. Can you break that down? Like, what does that system actually do when that sharp comment pops up on my screen?
Okay, think of the HPA axis as your body's built-in cascading alarm system.
Right.
Very sophisticated. When it perceives a threat, and that acidic email definitely counts the hypothalamus, the H, signals the pituitary gland, the P.
Got it. H to P.
Right. Which then tells the adrenal glands, the A, sitting on top of your kidneys, to release cortisol. That's your main stress hormone.
Ah, cortisol. The famous one.
The famous one. And cortisol is supposed to flood your system, give you that jolt of energy to fight, flee, or freeze. But then, and this is crucial, it's supposed to signal back up the chain to shut down the alarm, bring things back to baseline.
It's the regulator.
It's a regulator. Key to getting back to balance, homeostasis.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, maybe a bit weird.
Yeah.
Because you'd think, okay, high stress equals high cortisol, right?
That's the common wisdom.
But the studies looking at chronic stress, long-term stuff, like maybe from a demanding digital career or even past trauma, they actually show something counterintuitive. They link higher lifetime exposure to this stuff with lower baseline morning cortisol.
Exactly. Lower basal cortisol. It's a state called hypocortisolism. And that's the critical finding for anyone feeling that morning vulnerability.
So low cortisol in the morning. Why?
It signals that the HPA axis function has changed. Basically, if your system has been hit with stress repeatedly, day after day, digital emergencies, constant deadlines, maybe those hostile emails without enough time to recover, well, the regulator gets worn out.
It's like the system's tired.
Kind of. Researchers think that maybe after being flooded with cortisol too often, the system starts to downregulate. It dials back the initial go signal, the CRF from the hypothalamus, perhaps to protect itself.
Okay, so if the alarm system is tired and it's not producing enough of the hormone that's supposed to manage the stress response, what does that actually feel like day to day?
Well, it helps explain that feeling of being perpetually drained, not just sleepy. Your system's ability to manage energy, to handle emotional ups and downs, it's impaired. You might feel this constant low-level physical fatigue, but, and here's the twist, look at how the brain compensates.
Right, because it's not like you feel less stressed. It feels like the opposite sometimes. That's the second part of this punch, isn't it? The lower cortisol state somehow makes us more reactive.
Precisely. It's a double whammy. At the same time, you have these lower basal cortisol levels, often linked with high chronic stress scores. You see an increased neural response to new acute stress. This happens specifically in those limbic areas, the medial temporal lobe or MTL regions.
So the amygdala.
Your brain's emotional smoke alarm.
Yeah, and the hippocampus.
Which is involved in emotion regulation and forming memories, especially emotional ones. These areas become hyperreactive.
Okay, let me see if I've got this straight. The system is physically drained, maybe underproducing cortisol because it's worn out. That's the hypocortisolism. But at the same time, the emotional alarm center, the amygdala and related bits, they're actually more sensitive, more easily triggered.
You got it. The physical regulator is compromised, but the emotional alert system is cranked up to 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's the biological hijack.
That's the hijack. Chronic stress has effectively lowered the amygdala's trigger threshold. So a little digital jab, something that maybe on a good day on a well-rested system would be a minor irritation, suddenly registers as a major threat, a full-blown emergency. The research shows this sensitized limbic MTL response is actually what connects the chronic stress or trauma history to the low basal cortisol. It's like the repeated stress sensitizes these emotional regions, and that, in turn, messes up the whole regulatory system.
So when my friend said her morning was hijacked, that wasn't just drama, it was her physiology screaming.
It's the physiological reality.
Yeah.
She reacted strongly because that comment hit a nervous system already primed for alarm, forcing her to burn emotional energy she probably didn't even have that morning.
Okay, so if our nervous system is basically set up biologically to overreact under these conditions, then it becomes absolutely critical to understand the weapons being used against us, right? Let's shift from the biology to the anatomy of these attacks. If we can recognize the mechanism, maybe we can take it less personally.
Exactly. Depersonalize the damage. And let's be clear, these often aren't honest critiques aimed at helping. They're frequently veiled assaults, disguised as advice, perfumed with false benevolence, as one source puts it.
Perfumed with false benevolence. Ouch. Accurate, though.
And this kind of intrusive comment often comes from, let's call them the cast of the dawn, people who seem to confuse your professional space, your LinkedIn feed, whatever, with their personal diary or bathroom mirror.
They write before they think.
Right. They conflate their immediate gut reaction with something valuable or constructive.
And the intention behind it, this seems important. It's often about normalization, isn't it? Trying to pull you back into line.
Yeah, often these critics are trying to validate their own, maybe more cautious or constrained way of being by kind of parasitizing yours, attacking the parts of you or your work that seem free, direct, non-negotiable. They want to box you in.
How do they do that? By targeting your emotions, your style?
Both. They police your emotional intensity, or they nitpick your professional presentation. We can actually catalog the common jabs.
Okay, let's make a list. What's category 1?
First up, critiques of emotion. These are designed specifically to police your passion, your authenticity. Basically, manage your energy for their comfort.
Give me an example.
Things like, we feel you are angry, that's a shame. Or even more condescendingly, anger suits you less well.
Right, and I remember seeing a French example in our notes that really nailed this. Franchement, j'adore quand tu restes dans la poésie, la colère te va moins bien.
Which translates to,
frankly, I love it when you stick to poetry. Anger suits you less well. See? It starts with praise.
That's classic. He uses the praise, love the poetry, to soften the command that follows.
Yeah.
Stop being angry. The critique isn't about your facts or your argument.
No.
It's about the emotion you showed.
Yeah.
They're basically saying, your truth makes me uncomfortable, so please tone it down.
Okay. What's next after emotion policing?
Then you've got the critiques of content or style. This is where they try to police your professional output, usually for their own convenience, trying to control the effort you put in.
Like what?
Your text is fine, but it's too long for LinkedIn, or one gets lost in your sentences, you should write shorter.
The too long didn't read critique disguised as helpful feedback.
Exactly. And the sneaky part is it positions their lack of attention span, or maybe their preference for superficiality, as you're failing. It implies less effort is somehow better.
Okay. And the third type?
The perceived intensity jabs. These are attempts to manage your energy level, again, for their comfort. Often targets ambition, dedication, or just strong opinions.
Example.
We like your sensitivity, but the excess is tiring. Or that old passive-aggressive chestnut, you want to be right. We feel it.
Ugh. That last one. It forces you into that corner my friend mentioned. Be authentic and may be perceived as too much, or dial it back and be palatable to them.
Exactly. It's a false choice designed to control you.
Understanding these categories is helpful, but what about the people behind these comments? Can we understand their motivations? That seems key to not taking it personally.
Definitely. We can sort of sketch out 4 common profiles of this morning nuisance. Recognizing the type helps you see it's about them, not you.
Okay, profile 1.
The condescending benevolent. This person always starts with that disclaimer that absolves them of any negativity. I appreciate you, but, or love what you do, however.
Right, the setup.
They genuinely see themselves as doing you a favor, performing a public service by pointing out your supposed flaws.
Okay. Profile 2.
The frustrated corrector. This is the person obsessed with tiny details. They'll ignore the core of your brilliant analysis to zero in on a typo in paragraph 3. Or they'll argue about a minor factual point that doesn't change the main argument at all.
They're not engaging with the ideas.
Nope. They're just asserting their little bit of authority over grammar or minutia. It makes them feel smart or in control.
Third profile.
The ego mirror. This one's common. They use your platform, your post, your article, purely to talk about themselves.
The comment hijacker.
Exactly. They drop a long, rambling story about their vaguely related experience, or just use your space to broadcast their own thoughts, totally derailing the conversation you started.
Yeah.
They're feeding off your audience your attention.
And the last one.
Finally, the psychological driver. These are the critics who, maybe unconsciously, genuinely believe they're saving you, or saving the public, by correcting your message at 6:38 a.m.
Saving me from what? My own energy.
Often, yeah. Or from being wrong in their eyes.
Yeah.
Underneath, they might be seeking to validate their own existence by intruding on yours, making themselves feel important. Correcting someone visible is a quick hit of significance for them.
So realizing the comment is really about their insecurity, their need for control, their weird morning routine.
That's the prerequisite. That's step 1 for crafting that elegant response, or choosing not to respond at all. It's not about you. Okay, so if step 1 is knowing our biological vulnerability.
Got it. Thin skin in the morning, hyper-reactive amygdala.
And step 2 is cataloging the attacks and the attackers.
The benevolent corrector, the ego mirror.
Yeah. Then step 3 is building our defense. And the core strategy here is structure and clarity. We fight that passive-aggressive chaos, not with more chaos, but with the assertive ideal.
Assertiveness. Okay. We hear that word a lot, especially in professional development, when you're advocating for yourself, leading a team, whatever. Firm, clear communication is obviously key. Assertiveness is generally seen as the most effective style, right?
It really is, especially for long-term success and healthy relationships.
But I have to ask, I get the biology, that knee-jerk reaction, but sometimes doesn't being aggressive work? Don't aggressive people sometimes win, at least in the short term? Does being assertive sometimes feel like you're, I don't know, backing down?
That's a really important question and a common feeling. Look, aggressive tactics can get short-term results because they often steamroll or intimidate others. People might give in just to avoid conflict.
Right.
But assertiveness isn't about backing down. It's about standing your ground with respect for yourself and respect for the other person, even if you disagree strongly. It's about setting boundaries. Aggression burns bridges, assertiveness builds them, but on solid, mutually respectful foundations. It's sustainable. Aggression usually isn't.
Okay, so let's define it clearly then. What does real assertiveness look like in action, especially in a tough professional situation, maybe online?
At its core, assertiveness means you can express yourself, your thoughts, feelings, needs, opinions, values, openly and honestly. While, and this is key, simultaneously acknowledging and respecting that other people have their own thoughts, feelings, and needs, which might be different.
So it's a balance.
It's absolutely balanced.
Yeah.
Key traits include balancing your needs with others, expressing disagreement constructively, not destructively, responding respectfully even when you're challenged, knowing when and how to say no clearly and confidently, and this is huge, taking responsibility for your own actions and communication.
And this assertive style, it's like the healthy middle ground between two extremes that cause problems.
Exactly. Two pitfalls to avoid. On one side, you have the aggressive trap.
Did I about describe that one?
This style puts the self absolutely first, often trampling over others' needs and feelings. Empathy is usually out the window. It's all about their needs, their way, at others' expense.
How does it manifest?
Think of the person who easily loses their temper, resorts to bullying or intimidation in meetings, maybe publicly shames people who disagree. Their communication is often full of you statements. You did this wrong. You may be angry, which immediately puts people on the defensive.
Okay, so that's one extreme. What's the other?
The other is the passive pitfall. This is the person who gets that morning jab and just crumbles, immediately retreats, gives away their power because they see any confrontation, even healthy disagreement, as inherently bad.
They just want to avoid conflict.
At all costs. They're easily intimidated, find it really hard to stand up for themselves, draw clear boundaries. They might not even correct someone who constantly butchers their name, let alone push back on bigger issues like being overlooked for promotion or chasing an overdue payment.
They end up letting others dictate their priorities.
Totally. They give it easily, say yes when they mean no, and often feel resentful afterwards, but they don't voice it.
Okay, so aggressive is bad, passive is bad. Assertive leaders, though, they model how to navigate this effectively.
Yes, they really do. They set a positive example, focus on building a team culture where it's safe to disagree respectfully. And when they do need to confront an issue, maybe address that passive-aggressive comment or a missed deadline, their approach is very structured.
Structured how? Is there a formula?
There's a kind of choreography, yeah. It's designed to tackle the problem, not attack the person. It usually follows 4 steps.
Okay, step 1.
First, describe the objective facts of the situation. Stick to observable behavior or data. Crucially, avoid using the word you. That word immediately feels like blame.
So instead of, you missed the deadline,
You'd say, the report was due on Tuesday and it arrived on Friday. Just the facts.
okay, objective fact first, then what?
Second, describe your personal feelings using I feel statements. This owns your emotional response without blaming. I feel concerned about the project timeline, or I felt frustrated when I couldn't proceed without the report.
Okay, I feel, that keeps it personal but not accusatory.
Exactly. Third, explain why you feel that way, respectfully. Connect it back to the impact maybe on the team, the project goals, the client, because this delay impacts our ability to meet the client's launch date, and then maybe open it up, invite questions.
Makes sense. Fact, feeling, reason, what's the final step? Needs to be forward-looking, right?
Absolutely. Fourth, outline clear, tangible, constructive steps for moving forward. Frame it as a collaborative effort. How can we work together to ensure this doesn't happen next time? Or let's agree on a revised timeline now. Collective action.
Okay, so objective fact, personal feeling, respectful rationale, collective action.
That's the framework. It's the gold standard for assertive communication online or off. Takes practice, but it works.
Right, so if the aggressive attack is that impulsive punch from our, lizard brain.
The reptilian response.
And strategic elegance is like pulling out a scalpel instead. It's not giving in, it's making a calculated, precise choice that puts you back in control of the exchange.
Beautifully put. It's about measured action, not just reaction.
And our source material gives us a really practical framework for this, especially for digital communication. The AM framework.
Yes, AM stands for audience, intent structure, and message tone. Really helpful for crafting that elegant response.
Okay, let's break it down. First up, audience.
Before you even type a word, you have to think, who am I talking to? And is email or a Slack message or a public comment even the right place for this conversation?
Good point. Some things need a phone call or even face-to-face.
Exactly. Does the issue's sensitivity or complexity demand tone of voice, body language? You also need to consider the recipient's known preferences. Are they formal, Do they prefer short, to-the-point messages? Or is some rapport building expected first in your workplace culture?
So tailor the channel and the style. Choosing the wrong medium could itself seem aggressive or tone-deaf.
Absolutely. It's the first potential misstep. Demonstrating you understand how they prefer to communicate shows respect right off the bat.
Okay, after audience comes intense structure.
Right. What is your actual goal here? What do you want the other person to think, feel, or, most importantly, do after reading your message? Be crystal clear on your objective.
And the advice is to put the main point, the ask, right up front.
Yes, lead with it. Don't bury the lead. It shows confidence, responsibility, respect for their time. Get straight to the point, especially in professional contexts.
And structure is key online, isn't it? To avoid the dreaded wall of text.
Crucial. We're all drowning in information. Use a clear, informative subject line, something like action needed, Q3 budget revision, or reply requested by EOD Tuesday. And if the message is complex, especially if you're responding to criticism or outlining steps,
use bullet points, numbered lists.
yes, break it down. Make it scannable. It's not just clear, it's professional courtesy, good etiquette. It ensures your carefully constructed points actually get read and understood, not just skimmed over.
Okay, audience, intense structure. And finally, message, checking the tone. This feels like where the elegance really comes in.
It is. Because text lacks all those nonverbal cues, tone of voice, facial expression. You have to be extra careful. Reread your drafts specifically looking for any hint of anger, accusation, sarcasm, or sass that could be misinterpreted.
Even if you feel justified in being angry.
Especially then. If you're delivering tough feedback or pushing back firmly, organizational psych tells us, avoid absolute words like should or must. Don't use language designed to make them feel guilty, and definitely no threats or ultimatums.
Treat them like a reasonable person, even if they weren't reasonable first.
That's the high road. That's strategic elegance. It keeps the focus on the issue, not on escalating the conflict.
Okay, let's make this really concrete. Can we take some of those critiques we listed earlier and workshop an elegant, assertive response versus the gut reaction? Let's say a collaborator sends that passive-aggressive note. We found your latest proposal creatively excellent, but it was just far too ambitious for our current budget constraints. Please rewrite it to be more practical.
Okay. The gut reaction, especially at 7 a.m.
Probably something like, ambitious is why you hired me. If you told me the real budget up front, I wouldn't have wasted 3 days on this. Short, angry, defensive.
Right. Now, the elegant, assertive response using AIM.
Okay, applying the framework. Audience. Collaborator needs a solution. Intent. Get budget clarity. Revise effectively. Structure. Lead with thanks acknowledgement. Propose concrete next steps. Tone. Professional, solution-focused.
So it might sound like, thanks for the quick feedback and appreciating the creative direction. Regarding the ambition and budget, I completely understand cost is key. My aim now is to align the scope perfectly with the financial reality.
Okay, good start. Acknowledging their point, but subtly reframing ambitious.
Then the action. To help us move forward efficiently, I'll prepare a revised version by end of day Tuesday. It will clearly present two options. Option A, sticking strictly to the stated budget, and Option B, a mid-level version, highlighting where maybe a small, targeted 10% increase could deliver significant extra value or ROI.
Offering choices, showing proactive problem solving.
And the closing. Which version would be most helpful for you to review first? Puts the ball gently back in their court, confirms collaboration.
Wow. Yeah, that's totally different. It takes control, refuses the implicit criticism, focuses on solutions, sets a timeline. Much more powerful.
Let's try another one. The content critique. Your presentation was fine, but you speak too quickly when you get excited. It makes the audience nervous.
Oof. Instinctive response. I talk fast because I actually know my stuff and have a lot to say. Maybe you should listen faster.
Yeah, tempting, but not elegant.
Okay, the elegant response. Focus on the goal. Clear communication. Use I statements. Request collaboration.
So maybe. Thanks for sharing that observation about my pacing. I know when I get passionate about these complex topics, my speed can pick up sometimes.
Acknowledging their perception without necessarily agreeing, it's a huge flaw.
Exactly. Then, audience comfort and clear understanding are really important to me. I'll make a conscious effort to monitor my pace, especially during the Q&A in our next session.
Taking ownership, proposing a specific action.
And then turn it collaborative. To make sure the information lands effectively for everyone going forward, would you find it more helpful if I built in more deliberate pauses between points? Or perhaps structured the slides with maybe just one core idea each?
turning their subjective feedback into a request for objective, actionable advice. Smart. You're controlling the follow-up.
Now, shifting gears slightly in professional settings, we're often giving feedback to, not just receiving jabs. The sandwich approach comes up a lot. Positive, critique, positive.
Yeah, but does that feel a bit manipulative, like you're hiding the bad news?
It can if it's done clumsily, absolutely. But used thoughtfully, the goal isn't to hide the critique, it's to mitigate the face-threatening act, as communication scholars call it. Meaning you make it psychologically easier for the person to hear the constructive part without immediately shutting down or getting defensive. By starting with genuine positive acknowledgement, you reinforce the relationship and their value first.
Okay, so it's about receptiveness.
Exactly. But the core rule when giving feedback, sandwich or not, is always focus on the specific behavior or the content, not the person's character. Avoid those microaggressions. Be specific. Use I statements about the impact.
And flipping it again when we're on the receiving end, what are the rules for elegant reception?
Rule 1. Just listen or read all the way through. Don't interrupt. Don't jump to defend yourself immediately. Your first job is just to absorb what's being said.
Even if it feels totally unfair.
Especially then. Try to remain open to the possibility they might have a point, or at least that their perception is their reality. And critically, practice assume the best.
Assume they're trying to help, not just attack.
Assume positive intent, or at least assume they're trying to communicate their experience honestly, even if clumsily. This mental reframing is huge for dialing down your own defensive reaction. That HPA axis firing up.
And finally, you mentioned clarity. Seems obvious, but maybe it's not.
It's fundamental to elegance. Ambiguity breeds misunderstanding, especially online. Use full sentences. Use proper grammar. It signals professionalism and care. Stick to the topic.
What if you're unsure how something will land?
Frame it as a question. Instead of stating, that won't work, try. Could you help me understand how that approach overcomes X challenge? Asking for clarification forces you to pause, and it makes your comment less likely to be seen as a direct attack. Clarity is kindness online. So we've got the biology, we've got the assertive framework, the AM protocol. But, ultimately, the highest form of elegance isn't always about crafting the perfect witty reply.
What is it then?
It's about control. Specifically, the control to choose not to reply at all. It brings us back to that Stoic idea. The problem isn't the comment itself.
Right, it's the judgment we attach to it.
Exactly. And crucially, the instant we decide to respond, that decision point is where we give away our power or keep it.
We have to refuse to let their negativity poison our well. I like that line from the source. If I have to spiral, it will be with my music, not on the alarm of a stranger.
That's the declaration of emotional independence right there.
It's an internal battle, though, isn't it? That urge to punch back versus the desire for elegant strategy.
Absolutely. And there's a simple but incredibly powerful protocol for managing that battle. Let's call it the response protocol.
Okay, sounds serious. What is it?
It's short, neat, clean, 4 steps.
Lay 'em on me.
Step 1, write the impulsive reply. Go on, get it all out. Draft that fiery email, that sarcastic comment, all the anger, the defensiveness.
Okay, catharsis.
Step 2, let it cool down. Walk away. Get coffee. We'll come back to coffee. Wait at least 30 minutes, maybe longer. Let the emotional heat dissipate.
Okay, step 3.
Come back, look at it coldly. Shorten it dramatically. Restructure it using that AM framework we talked about. Make it objective, solution-focused, respectful. Serve it cold.
And step 4.
Or look at that impulsive draft, look at the situation and just throw it away. Hit delete, choose silence.
Yeah. Trash can option.
The trash can option is the ultimate declaration of freedom. Real power isn't feeling obligated to react to every provocation. It's consciously choosing when, where, and to whom you will give your precious energy and attention. You conserve your capital for the fights that actually matter.
And managing that internal battle, making that choice. It's easier if our physiology is on our side, right? Which brings us back to coffee.
It does. We established that chronic stress primes the body to overreact. So managing your physiology becomes part of the strategy.
And caffeine helps, beyond just waking us up.
Apparently so. Citing that Harvard data, caffeine doesn't just boost alertness. It seems to decrease irritability by 37%, the study suggested, and increase perceived tolerance by 24%.
Wow, so it literally makes us less prickly.
It lowers the rugosity, as the source amusingly put it, smooths out those rough emotional edges, makes the collective stupidity, perhaps like those Don comments, feel a bit more supportable.
So delaying your response until after your coffee isn't just about mental clarity, it's physiologically strategic.
A delayed caffeine-assisted response is often a superior response, less likely to be purely reactive.
Okay, so this physiological backup, it supports the bigger assertive strategy, which includes not fighting every single battle, right?
Absolutely. You simply cannot go to bat for every single thing you disagree with. If you do, you'll quickly burn out, and you'll likely be seen as argumentative or aggressive, constantly picking fights.
Exhausting for everyone.
Totally. The key rule is pick your battles wisely. Focus your energy only on those arguments that are genuinely aligned with your core professional values, or those that will directly help you or your team achieve important goals.
So if the comment is just noise, like that critic saying, you don't tolerate contradiction, and it doesn't relate to a specific project or goal,
treat it as irrelevant noise. It's sociological commentary, not constructive feedback related to the work. You don't have to engage on their low terms.
So instead of getting dragged into defending yourself against that vague accusation,
your elegant reply, if you choose to give one, might be something like, I actually adore contradiction when it thinks before it writes.
Ooh, nice. You're not accepting their premise. You're setting a higher standard for the debate.
Precisely. Elegance uses clarity and structure to assert that the price of admission for engaging with you is thoughtful, respectful discourse, not just impulsive potshots. You define the terms of engagement. #ShagBinning7. Outro.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of ground. We've gone from the neurobiology of why that 7 a.m. digital jab can feel like a physical blow,
right down to the HPA axis in the sensitized amygdala,
to cataloging the different flavors of passive-aggressive attacks online,
the critiques of emotion, style, intensity,
and finally, equipping ourselves, and you listening, with that elegant scalpel of assertive communication.
Whether that scalpel is used for a precise, structured counter or just as powerfully to hit delete.
So what's the big takeaway here, if you remember one thing?
I think the crucial thing, really applicable across all our digital interactions, is understanding the power, the double-edged sword of tone. We see it again and again in analyses of online arguments. Emotionally charged, aggressive language, and it just ramps up the polarization, shuts down actual conversation.
Whereas
polite, measured framing, using inclusive language, structuring your points clearly, that actively promotes collaboration and constructive dialogue. Tone isn't accidental. It's a strategic choice you make every time you hit send.
And maybe the final thought to leave people with, it's not always about being right in the factual sense, is it?
That's a fascinating point from the research on digital conflict. Often, things like humor, irony, used strategically, mind you, not cruelly, can be incredibly effective tools. They soften those potentially faith-threatening moments, ease tension, build bridges. It suggests that sometimes your ability to respond with strategic wit, or maybe just nuanced understanding, is actually a more powerful defense for your professional integrity than simply proving you have all the facts lined up. Sometimes, connection trumps correction.